This is Tim Tucker, AE6LX from the Worldwide DX Radio Forum at worldwidedx.com. But today I'm coming to you as WRYX468, my GMRS call sign, because we are reviewing this brand new Ailunce HA1G GMRS radio that the company sent to me. So stay tuned while we take a look at some of the neat features, and I'll tell you what I think about this radio. So first things first, what's in the box other than the radio? You've got a desk charger, you've got a USB power adapter, the USB-C cable, the belt clip, and this programming cable, which plugs into the microphone speaker jack on the side, is a Motorola style cable, and of course the manual, which I still left in the box. All right, let's take a look at some of the features of this radio. First of all, you can see it's got a real nice bright screen, an A and a B band, so you can be listening to different things on either one at the same time, or you can switch it so there's just one band active at a time. You can see as it receives, it just did it there real quick. Let's see if I can find something for it to listen to. But as it receives, the screen flashes and tells you which band it's receiving on. There you go, B band receive. And if there's a code that's being transmitted, it'll tell you that code as well. It does have the USB-C cable on the back for charging. This does not work with a PD port, power delivery port. I tried that, it wouldn't charge, but with just a regular USB port, 5 volts, and a USB-C cable is fine. It's got a nice, big, healthy battery, lasts a long time. Nice, big, healthy push-to-talk button on the side. And programmable soft buttons. This radio does have an IP67 rating, which means it's dustproof, waterproof. I take their word for it. The company that produces this Retevis has another ham radio, which I reviewed, where I put it in the surf and the ocean, and it survived just fine. I have no doubt this one will work just fine as well. Take a look at the menuing system here. This is pretty easy to use. You can see the menu is nice, clear, sharp, easy to read. The programming is pretty simple on this thing, as are the settings. Pretty much everything you can do with the radio itself, although it is helpful, or on the radio itself, although it is helpful to use the program that it comes with, the application to program the scanning channels. This radio has concepts of zones, which is similar to some of the commercial ratings. So in zones, you can create different groupings of channels is the best way I know how to explain it. So for example, if you frequented different areas, you could program in the repeaters for that area that you travel to into a zone, or you can create custom zones for things like scanning. Like I put in my local police frequencies here, and I can listen to those on one of the VFOs if I feel like. Here are the channel settings. So all of the GMRS channels come pre-programmed in, so you don't need to do that. There's 1 or 2 sample repeaters that are put in. You can certainly add as many as you want. This radio will store up to 220 channels, and then again you can group those channels into the different zones. As I mentioned, the radio does have a scanner built in, so you can go in here and take a look at your scan lists. This is the one thing you do have to use the software for, create the scan list. But you create the scan list, and then you put in the different channels into your scan list in the software. You can put up to 16 channels into a scan list, but you can create a whole bunch of different scan lists. The scanning is one of the things that I wish was a little faster. You can see if I can get it started here. Go scan start. You can see how fast it goes. I gave some feedback to the company to see if they can speed this up a little bit. We'll see what they say. But let's go ahead and stop the scanning. To change the modes between the different VFOs and channels, you just hold down the exit button. You can toggle between A and B channels by hitting the scan button. Pretty straightforward. These things aren't probably inherently obvious. The manual documents them, but once you have it down, it's pretty simple. The one thing that's really neat about this radio, as I mentioned, everything is programmable on this. The side buttons are programmable. You've got all these options for all the DTMF signaling, the common settings, decode settings. You can set CTCSS codes. You can set DCS codes for the various memories, or just do it on the fly. You have even an emergency scan list. that you can create. These are all features that you typically see in ham radios and in commercial radios, and they've incorporated a lot of these concepts into this GMRS radio, which I don't know that I've ever seen before. It has a FM radio that it can listen to. It has weather channels. Of course, you can set it back to the factory. All in all, it's a pretty well thought out radio for a GMRS radio, especially. A lot of functionality here. Something else I like about this radio is that it has a removable antenna. You can see here, just uses a standard SMA connector, so you can use aftermarket antennas. You can run coax up to an external antenna if you want, or to your car or whatever. That's a real nice touch. And it's got your typical emergency buttons. Another thing I like about this radio is the way this battery is attached is very solid. You're not going to accidentally drop this radio and the battery pop off. You push this down, and then you'll just need to get a fingernail in here to slide this battery off. So, see a nice big 2800 milliamp hour battery. Here's the side connector with the cover taken off for an external speaker mic. You can see the same type of pin arrangement that's used on a bunch of the other Retevis radios, Motorola style. And this little guy just goes on there, and you can use your thumb to screw it on, or use a coin if you want it tight or something like that. All right, we'll take a look at a few other features here, how you do a few things. So, you can program your CTCSS or DCS codes for both send and receive by holding down that button if you don't want to go through the menu. You can set the transmit power. Now the power settings in here are governed by the FCC rules around how much power is allowed on each GMRS channel, but you can still set high or low depending on what you want. I think the low setting is 2 watts. Need to double check the manual on that one. You have a wide and narrow bandwidth setting here, which is pretty neat. And then a bunch of other stuff, timeout, timer, step. You can monitor one of the frequencies by pressing the monitor button. It's got Vox. You can adjust the squelch on the fly. You can lock the radio. A lot of the functionality that you would normally only see in a ham radio, they've built it into this GMRS radio. I think this thing is going to sell pretty well to the GMRS community because it has pretty much everything you need. Couple that with the ability to program in lots of repeaters, group them into the zones. Tough radio that's IP67 rating, waterproof, and you have a winner for a price tag that is super competitive. So a couple of thoughts to wrap up. As I mentioned, I did use the software to program the radio, and it just read and wrote the radio fine, no problems. The software is very well designed, it's very well thought out, it's super easy to use. I'm not going to show it in this video. No issues with the cable, just plug the USB cable right in. Windows saw the correct driver, and it just worked the way it should, so that was very refreshing. So that's it in a nutshell. I do think that Retevis Ailunce has something here that's a really neat product in addition to the GMRS radio market, that in a radio that you just don't see these kinds of features at a price point like this for the GMRS community. This HA1G, I think, is going to sell really well. I hope it does. I think they've got a real solid product here. So that's Tim Tucker, AE6LX. Today, WRYX468. Review of this GMRS radio, the Ailunce HA1G. Come visit us at worldwidedx.com and learn all things about ham radio and all kinds of things about GMRS radio and all kinds of stuff in the radio hobbies.